Pelosi versus Mnuchin. Today, Pelosi is under fire for not accepting Steve Mnuchin's $1.9 trillion offer. It may ultimately be the biggest testament of a political blunder in recent months. I've been telling you she should have taken it. You've been telling her she should have been taking it. And now Wall Street's saying she should have been taking it. So what does this mean for your stimulus, and where will it land, and what could happen after election night? The president has some comments, and I have them for you. And this is Pelosi versus Mnuchin. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Pelosi versus Mnuchin on the tail end of afternoon's LALATE. I know this is one of the less watched videos of this channel on a daily basis, perhaps because you don't like Pelosi, but it's actually one of the most important videos, so please stay with me on this video. In this video, I'll be going over a lot of big details, but first go to the Fun's channel, subscribe, because no one's going to get through this pandemic with you better than you and I. Purple Power, all the followers of this channel, and I appreciate your Purple Power love. Also like this video. In this video, I'll be going over why Pelosi's bet has failed and why she made a very bad calculated error on not accepting a $1.9 trillion offer for the president, and now is getting the reams of Wall Street as the stock market crashes, and what this means for your stimulus going forward. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that Wall Street is irate that Nancy Pelosi did not accept the stimulus offer from Steve Mnuchin. And this is amid concerns about what could happen next. This is the issue. Nancy Pelosi was offered $1.9 trillion. It would have had one stimulus check in there for you. It would have had FPUC. It would have had rent. It would have had food. It would have had it would not have had hazard pay. It would have had EIDL grants, EIDL loans, a hazard pay-ish grant from CDC, and more. It would have had some stuff. We would not have been happy with the provisions, but it would have been something. I would have been able to sit here on this recording every day and go through all the items I'm getting you and figure out how you apply for them, and I'd be making those recordings. Instead, she said, no, I want to go over language till I'm black and blue in the sky because the may or the moo or the coo or the cow language is not correct. And now Wall Street's sort of mocking that situation. Ultimately, there was no stimulus relief passed. And so now, as you sit here tonight, what's happening? What's happening is that there may not be Mnuchin. There may not be Pelosi versus Mnuchin come Tuesday night. If the president loses and the president just doesn't want to do stimulus relief, despite whether he contests the election or not, then Pelosi may have to sit back and wait for something else. And that something else is Joe Biden to come into office. Now, Pelosi's other predicament that she did not bet for is that the Senate remains GOP. That's ultimately Pelosi's worst nightmare, because during this entire endeavor, she would normally have been negotiating with other House members. She would normally have been negotiating with other Senate members. Instead, she specifically selected Steve Mnuchin, a member of the Trump cabinet, to be the GOP negotiator for the GOP. Well, guess what? If Donald Trump's no longer the head of the GOP because he loses the election, who's Nancy Pelosi going to negotiate with? The new head of the GOP, Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's coming back, whether or not his GOP dominates the Senate and retains ownership of the Senate. He's coming back, and he will be the number one person in the GOP in Washington if President Trump loses the election. If President Trump loses the election, Nancy's counterpart to deal with, the number one GOP leader, would be Mitch McConnell. She is not going to be able to say her way or the highway, because ultimately he will be the voice for the Republican Party. Now, that's if the Senate goes Republican. If the Senate goes Democrat, then Nancy has gotten her wishes. Her wishes are the Senate goes Democrat and the White House goes Democrat. But if the Senate goes Republican and stays Republican, Nancy's worst nightmare has occurred, especially if Steve Mnuchin's gone. Let me explain what's going on. There's two scenarios that Nancy Pelosi did not bet on. The first one is that every status quo of parties remains the same. President Trump comes back and the GOP domination of the Senate comes back. She didn't bet on that. The other one she did not bet on is that President Trump loses and the Senate remains GOP. Neither scenario works in Nancy Pelosi's favor, but the one in which Biden wins and the Senate remains GOP is her worst case scenario. Because under that case scenario, there could be real problems. And the problems are that whatever she writes and she sends to the Senate, they say, you know what, you got to negotiate with us now. Trump is gone. We're the new big people in the GOP in town, and you need to negotiate with us. And we're not doing this $900 billion bailout of states. We're not doing this dealing with crazy language. You need to start doing this thing and start being a little bit more bipartisan. And with that, everything could change. What's important to understand is that when you're dealing with stimulus relief, this should not have happened. It's just incredulous. You should be talking about people's checks. How many checks are getting? When are they getting the checks? How many checks are going to come in the future? How much FPUC is coming? When is hazard pay going to come? You shouldn't be focusing on who's in control of a member of the chambers of Congress. I shouldn't have to be covering this subject. Unfortunately, I am. And what's happening is not over next Tuesday. By all accounts, the balance of power in Washington may not be decided on Tuesday. So we could be going over this for several days to come, and ultimately you still don't have stimulus relief. What's important to understand is that if the president wants to really solidify a win, he needs to do executive orders. Purple power, do your thing. Hashtag MSC. Hashtag executive orders. Hashtag executive orders. But if he doesn't want to do executive orders, can he float it and still win the election? Maybe. Can Mitch McConnell float it and still win the GOP domination of the Senate? Maybe. But that is something that is very uncertain. Wall Street is not happy with the situation. Wall Street, which is the single most important indicator for the president on the state of the economy, is down and will continue to be down all week long because ultimately it doesn't like seeing that there's no stimulus, COVID-19 cases are increasing, and lockdowns are coming around the corner. And guess what? Not one of those three things has Nancy Pelosi solved, but was offered the ability to solve. She was offered the ability to have stimulus relief at 1.9. She rejected it. She was offered the ability to have tracing and testing under a $1.9 trillion bill. She rejected it. She was offered the ability to deal with lockdowns and stimulus checks going forward. She rejected that. That was the Problem Solvers bill. Problem Solvers bill said, hey, we need a stimulus check next year because we're going to have problems next year. They proposed a $1,200 stimulus check in March. Now, March is a little bit long from now, but they said we need another stimulus check next year, and we need other things next year. Nancy Pelosi, no, we're just dealing with now to December because we need to have a lot of money saved up for Andrew Cuomo and Gavin Newsom. That's not going to work. Because as you sit here tonight, there's no one writing anything to protect you for a third stimulus package. For a new lockdown across the country. As we sit here today, you have not been paid for the prior lockdown. You've not been paid to get up to the current present time, from the last lockdown to the current situation. And with new lockdowns looming in the weeks to come, you're not getting paid for those either. So the question is, when is Congress going to wake up? When is Nancy Pelosi going to wake up? It's this type of pressure that Wall Street's pushing that may ultimately change the dynamic of everything involved. I've always said that things have to get very bad before people wake up, and that there haven't been bad situations across the board. You and I know that there's homelessness across the country. You and I know that there's people that are hungry and needing food. But we also know that there's big business and rich people that are doing very well and doing better in this pandemic. Well, the last 2 days, they're not doing that well. Stocks like Zoom, Amazon, Walmart, that were doing really bonzo money in this pandemic started to crash because lockdowns don't help them. Lockdowns eventually don't help anyone because it results in unemployment. Airlines down. As you see the entire economy being pulled down, even if there's shining glimmers of hope here and there and there and here, the rest of the economy gets pulled. And if they can focus back on MNUCHIN and Pelosi not getting a deal, then they can realize that going forward, they need to stop this silliness right away. The question is how many stimulus checks and what could happen. And here's my opinion. My opinion as I sit here this afternoon is that Wall Street is starting to see the impact of no stimulus loud and clear and in a front page coverage. I've always talked about the financial cliff on this channel and how the financial cliff is coming. We're going over the financial cliff and we're going to crash and how it's going to hit us. I said it was happening in July. It did, but it didn't hit everyone. And so ultimately Wall Street's like, oh, you know what? Harley Davidson stock way up. Oh, good. Tesla stock way up. Okay. All these certain stocks that were specific way up, whereas Boeing, Caterpillar, or other companies that are tied to really the core of this country way down. And now, across the board, everything down. Everything down because of no stimulus. No stimulus because of new lockdowns, and no stimulus because of new COVID-19 cases. And this might be the reality check that we really finally needed. Let me go over some incredible comments and questions from last night's recording. Susan, either way, if he loses, he's still responsible to take care of the Americans, referring to Trump. Michelle Marine, I love LA and the Purple Power. I love and care and pray for all of you. I thank you for that. Sean, this whole thing could be a big act from both parties working together against each other, to get out of paying us money. I think it is. Very well said, Sean. Helen Capone, hey, LALATE and our Purple Power family. Hello, Helen. I love Helen. Troy Blanton, people there are government. I'm ashamed of them. Amparo, welcome back, Purple Power family. Hey, welcome back. Barbara Perez, good evening, Purple Power. Hey. Heather Kress, the problem with this bill is they don't care about the American people. Where is my Purple Power family at? Hi there. Hello, how are you? Val A, you need a break, sweetie, but good reporting. I do need a break. It's been a busy day. Sean Baum, Nancy Pelosi just needs to go. Johnny, it's been a nightmare. Someone please wake me up when it's over. I just don't know when it's over yet. That's unfortunate. If you're not, go to the front of the channel, subscribe because we're keeping you up to date and to the minute. There's a lot of stuff developing and a lot of stuff here for you as well. Also, like this video. Coming up next is Evenings LALATE. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay FLA for more.